everybody! Mr. Talking Happy Face here to see you again. Today, I'm going to show you how to make me.
Sorry about that, guys. Couldn't help myself. I like Mr. Talking Happy Face kit. It's a simple kit. When you purchase this through eBay or Engineering Shock, there should be a link to the schematic diagram. But this is the assembly video. Again, what Mr. Talking Happy Face does is just a few LEDs that are smiling by default. And when you talk, the upper lip moves so it looks like he's talking. It's just a neat little novelty kit that I put together for fun. But I'm going to show you how to put it together. It's going to be a quick video because if you watched any of my other assembly videos, I'll just be repeating myself for a lot of it. So I'll try to make it as quick as possible. Got your PCB, 14-pin dip socket, LM324 quad op amp IC, 2-pin terminal block. The board requires 12 red 3mm LEDs, but I include 14 just in case. 1 green 5mm LED, a 2N2222 NPN transistor, a little tiny microphone, a ceramic 0.1 microfarad capacitor, a 10 microfarad electrolytic capacitor, 14 470 ohm resistors, 3 10k ohm resistors, a 2 k ohm resistor, and a 100k ohm resistor. Now the resistors, they're all labeled on the board. These are all 470 ohm. There's a 470 ohm in here, 3 10Ks, the 2K is right here, and the 100K is right here. They're all labeled on the board. You can't miss them. The resistors aren't polarized. You can solder them in either way. There's no polarity. So make sure to solder those all into place. Make sure your solder joints are good and strong, and make sure that there's no shorting, especially on this rail right here. Now, since that's an easy step, I'm just going to skip right on to the capacitors. There's 2 capacitors, one ceramic, one electrolytic. The electrolytic is C1. It's labeled 10U for 10 micro. Now you'll notice on the left-hand side here, there is a little plus sign on the footprint. Plus sign indicates the positive side of the electrolytic capacitor. Now you'll notice that the ceramic capacitor or the electrolytic capacitor has a long lead and a short lead. The long lead is your positive, so place it on the side on the left side with that side that has the positive symbol, and the shorter lead, which is your negative, on the right hand side. Your ceramic capacitor C2 is placed right above that. It's labeled 0.1U, so for 0.1 microfarads. It's ceramic. It's not polarized. Solder in either way doesn't matter. So let's solder all of those components into place, and then we'll do the LEDs. The LEDs are a bit more tricky because of the footprints, but we'll get through it. I completely forgot to talk about R20. R20 is right here. It is an 18K resistor. You can actually use a 10K, but it comes with an 18K resistor. So make sure that you place your single 18K resistor that will be included in the kit in the R20 slot, which is right to the left of the ceramic capacitor. LED time. For your nose, you're going to use your green LED, your 5mm green LED. It's labeled L13. L1 and 2, LED 1 and 2, are red 3mm LEDs, and all of the mouth LEDs, which is L3 to L12, are all red LEDs as well. Now here's what makes it a little bit tricky. The footprints, on the footprints there's a rounded side and then there's a flat side. In the case of the positives and negatives, the LED has a short pin and a long pin. The long pin is your positive, the short pin is your negative. The rounded side of each footprint is the positive side, and the flat side is your negative. Now, you can actually see this on the board, you just have to pay close attention. But I can show, in the case of all of the mouth LEDs, the negative is facing up. And you actually see that on the footprint, the label, in this case, L11. Where the indicator is of which LED it is, that's facing the negative side. So when we're placing an LED, we want to make sure that in the case of the mouth LEDs, that the long lead goes in the bottom, and that the short lead goes in the top, like this. However, in the case of L13, L1, and 2, it's the opposite. As you can see, the indicators are on the bottom now. So you want to make sure that you place the shorter lead in the bottom leads. Oop, dropped an LED. Same goes for the red LEDs in the top. Make sure that the negatives are placed in the bottom, and your longer leads, positives, are placed in the top. But again, if you purchase this and you want to get a closer look, there's a flat side of the footprint and a rounded side. Again, rounded, positive, flat, negative. So solder those all into place. Make sure they're flush with the board and that your solder connections are good. Okay, last step. We've got the terminal block, our socket, our IC, our microphone, and our transistor. Transistor, very easy to do. T1, it's labeled 2N2222. There is a flat side and there's a rounded side. And I'm not sure how well you can see the footprint, but there is a rounded side and then there's a flat side. From a bird's eye view, when you're placing it, make sure that the flat side matches the flat side and the round side matches the round side, or else your circuit will not work. Don't reverse it, and take care when doing that. Your terminal block has a side with screw prongs and a side with no screw prongs. Make sure that your screw prongs are facing outwards, or else you won't be able to wire your power supply connections. Your socket. You might notice, I'm not sure how well you can see from there because the capacitor's in the way, but at the for the LM324 socket footprint, there is a notch on the bottom side here. There is a notch on your socket. Line up from a bird's eye view your socket to the footprint, and there's also a notch on the IC on the LM324. Make sure that the notch is facing the notch on the socket. When you solder the socket onto the footprint, you're not going to be able to see the footprint notch anymore. So you have to match up the notch on the IC to the notch on the socket to the notch on the board. Just make sure that the notch is facing the terminal block. Lastly, the microphone. There's two pins. It's labeled mic. The most outward pin on the upper right hand corner is your negative. The one closest to the ceramic capacitor here is your positive. On the microphone, there are two leads on the bottom. The lead closest to the green piece of glitter, there's a little tiny green piece of glitter. The lead closest to that is your negative, so make sure that that's facing the top pin and that the other pin is facing is soldered to the pin facing the capacitor here. Don't reverse that. It's powered on. I'm powering it on at 5 volts. It will be operational at up to 9 volts, but you'll find that the higher voltage you go, it increases the chance of all the LEDs coming on and staying on. However, you won't harm the circuit. So, hello, baby! It works. We're happy. What I want to add, and there's one design note here. I added, there's a pull-down resistor on the secondary side of the coupling capacitor. What happens is the mic, when it detects noise, couples a little AC tone through this coupling capacitor, and that's connected to the one input stage of our amplifier. And there's a pull-down resistor there. It's necessary. It's 100 k ohms, and it's R16. It's your only 100 k ohm resistor. However, and that's located right here. I'm going to turn it off. However, if you turn it on even at 5 volts, all of the LEDs are turning on. I know what the answer is. It's a troubleshooting. I've had to troubleshoot this, and it might occur with yours. It might not, depending on how consistent the mic is. That 100 k resistor should be replaced with a 10 k ohm resistor if that happens, because what's happening there is there's not enough resistance to pull down the little bit of current that's on the secondary side of the coupling capacitor. So that's just a pull down resistor to drain that off or bleed it off. However, if you turn it on at 5 volts and the top LEDs are on, don't worry, you haven't harmed your circuit. I'll include an extra 10 k ohm resistor just in case that happens. Start with the 100 k, but if you end up finding that all the LEDs are on, the talking feature does not work, change R16, which is your 100 k ohm resistor, with a 10 k ohm resistor. And if you don't feel like doing the swap, you can start off by just putting the 10 k ohm resistor. It should still work just fine. So, thanks for watching, everyone. I've got my ultrasonic transducer receiver kit coming. I've got it sitting up here. I've got a 4-channel relay kit, laser detection kit, PIR sensor kit, supercapacitor charger kit, continuity tester kit, lots of stuff coming. Voice recognition module should be here within a month. Thanks, everyone.